All right, party people. We are preparing to go live. It is loading. All right, ladies. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, so today's episode of Spilled Milk is in respects to Black Breastfeeding Week. Our theme for today is We Believe We Could, So We Did, a mother's story. This is going to highlight what your journey to breastfeeding and your breastfeeding journey look like for you and your circumstances. So we have opened up the floor and the space as a safe space for us to exist authentically and not feel the need to sugarcoat or downplay things that have happened throughout our journeys. We do this to raise awareness for other mothers that are maybe going through some of the same things and need to overcome and need that encouragement to see how it's done and how it can be done. Or for those that are thinking about breastfeeding and still in the pregnancy period, they can see different variations of experiences. So we want to give you all the floor. I will ask questions periodically throughout, but we want you to exist as authentically as you can. Who would like to go first?
I can go first, no problem.
Okay.
So, hey everyone, I'm Denise. I am a mother of three, four with my angel baby. I breastfed my oldest. I was 24 when I had her. 23, 24, 24. And I breastfed her with no experience, no educational background. No one really had talked to me about it. It's just, I hated the smell of formula. And I couldn't fathom the whole, I got to go buy water to make a bottle for formula to feed my baby. So, knowing I would be a single mom at the time as well, I was like, okay, I'm going to breastfeed. I don't know how it's done. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but that's what I'm going to do. So fast forward to delivery, and I had a C-section with her, and get back to recovery. They bring her in and they ask, well, do you want to do skin to skin? I say, yes, sure. I mean, she's up, she's perky, and she latches right on. No problem. And they're like, you've done this before. I'm like, no, this first baby. I don't know nothing about this. And so she latched on, no issues. And so it was a journey. But I had a lot of support from Barbie at the WIC office here in Calhoun County. She was like, you're doing good. She was very encouraging with it because I didn't have any friends who did it. I didn't have any family members who breastfed. I didn't have any education on it. All the education I got was hands-on and in the moment learning. So, and I mean, I went through sore nipples, cracked nipples, and I'm like, what do you do? Buying all these products. Now I know you ain't got to buy all them products. I am coconut oil and we good. And I allowed her to self-wean even when I had family members like, she's got teeth, she's walking, she's talking. You need to give her a cup. And mind you, I went back to work at 6 weeks. She was at daycare and I still nursed. I was very determined that I'm going to see this through. I didn't want to give her formula. And so she was easy. She was like, God sent easy. Like God knew, okay, I know you're gonna be a single mama, so let me make sure I help you with this. And so we didn't have any issues. And she weaned at shortly after her second birthday, so like maybe 2.5, and we were good. 10 years later, I have my second daughter, Emily, and C-section as well, but I knew from jump I was nursing, and I had told my husband, I'm nursing, and he was like, I'm for it. I support you. I got it. Cool. And she's now 3 and still nursing. Like, she is not giving up the milk. And so that leads me to tandem feeding. Like, I mean, I've worked with her and different things like that. No issues with her. Not even when, I breastfeed through grieving of my angel baby and stillbirth, and no change of milk supply or anything like that, even when the doctors was like, you may have a change of milk supply. Even when I had read, some people were told you should stop breastfeeding if you're pregnant. I've never did that, never had a change. Now, I believe there was a change in the taste, but there was never a change in supply. She has not given up the milk at all. Um, and then so here we are, 2022, and I have Benji, and he's 7 months old now, and he's nursing. And so I'm tandem feeding this 3-year-old and the 7-month-old. And supply has been great. It has been great. And that's not everyone's story, but it has been great. There was a time when shortly after delivery, I had what you call an ileus. So it's very common, but it's not very talked about. I dealt with it with Emily and didn't know what it was. It's when your intestines just basically go to sleep. And so they're not working. And at that time, I had already been discharged from the hospital when I was with Emily and had to be readmitted. Thank God they readmitted her as well. So we were together. But with Benji, I knew the signs. So when I started exhibiting symptoms of it while at the hospital, I let them know. And they were like very attentive and was like, oh, you knew this. Okay. And so because during that time, they do what they call a bowel rest, meaning you get very few sips of water, no food at all. And they want you to kind of just allow your bowels to rest and begin to work on their own. I did have a small drop in supply, but not much. So yes, sorry. I hope I ain't walked off and lifted my phone. And so, so we are now 7 months in with Benji and still nursing him full time. He started, baby food, but that's it. He's totally breastfed. Even where I've even donated milk to other moms. We laugh because every Monday I drop off his milk at daycare, and I drop off about a gallon of milk in pouches so that I don't have to drop off like every day and forget. So I drop off every Monday. And then on Friday, I count how much we have, and I still drop off that gallon because for some reason he's drinking it all. But breastfeeding for me has been, it's been good. It has its challenges, but I say it's been good, even to where Emily be like, Mom, I like your milk. I like your milk. And I'm like, oh, okay, but I want you to go ahead and wean. But I'm not the mom to be like, no, you gotta wean now. So yeah.
So Denise, I'd like to ask you if you feel comfortable sharing, did you have any complications with starting breastfeeding with Benji? Anything that would have been perceived as a complication, but you worked through?
Yes. So Benji was a NICU baby. And so that separation by itself could have been a real big issue. But I was very persistent. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I was going to stick to, and you weren't going to talk me out of it. With that being said, was for a few days after delivery, about 2 days, we did donor milk because my supply had dropped a little bit. And I had a nurse who was like, well, we can give them formula. And I was like, no, we're fine. And I even asked, they never even approached me. I was like, I want to put him to breast. And they were like, oh, you do? Okay. And I was very adamant about each time that I would have him, I was going to put him to breast. There was never really no plan that they gave me knowing, but I just let them know, this is the plan. I'm the mama, and this is what we're going to do. And to even the point where the nurses were like, we can take your milk downstairs. We heard your nursing, we'll take your milk downstairs. And I was like, oh, okay, thank you. You know, I was very adamant about it. And I even with the whole having the ileus, you know, I was there a whole extra week. That could have been very traumatizing because you see your milk dropping. The only good thing was he was still drinking so few because he wanted to sleep while he was in NICU versus just wanted to come home. He wanted to sleep. And so having that was like, okay. But something I experienced that I really, you know, I was firm about, but I was very nasty about was there was a nurse at the time of discharge of Benji, because I went home before he did, who was like, oh, well, just in case your supply drops, I'm going to send you home with some formula. No, I don't need it. Don't need it. He's fine. Well, you know, sometimes after they leave the hospital, their supply drop, and no, I don't need it. And I looked in the bag and she still had put it in there. I said, oh, okay. Well, you're about to waste it because before I even got to the garage, it was in the trash. Like that could have set back some mom who's like, well, my supply is going to drop, so I'm not going to try. You know, she's telling me this is what's going to happen. Nope, that wasn't my case. I wasn't doing it. And, you know, I think a lot of times we don't advocate enough for ourselves. And because we feel like, well, they're the professionals, we kind of allow them to dictate. No, don't do that. Educate yourself, but still stay in your ground. They are practicing. That's what, you know, they are practicing. So they are practicing on you. So you have to, okay, thank you for practicing, but this is my decision. And this is what we're going to roll with.
And if I may say so myself, Denise was very determined. As she's mentioned, she's had all C-sections. So each time that you have a C-section, there's a possibility for your milk to delay for up to 10 days. She was very adamant right away. As a matter of fact, we had an instance where I, as her doula, was being held back from being able to join her in her recovery room. And she very adamantly asked for me. And it had already been written in her plan of care that I don't necessarily know that they even read until she mentioned it. But one of the nurses, she said, well, she's also my lactation person. I want her in here. And as she said that, the nurse goes, oh, we have lactation here. And she said, why would I use yours when I brought my own? There's power to that. As funny as it was, and you know, you try to keep a straight face when these things are happening, right? You're like, oh, ooh, ooh. When she said nice nasty, that's a perfect description of how she gets when people are infiltrating her lair. Like, no, I already have my plan. Please do not alter my plan. But there is a certain level of advocacy that needs to happen for yourself, from yourself. Because as the doula, I can sing till the cows come home, right? But they were already telling me, oh, no, you can't come into the room. Doulas don't belong on this floor. It was a COVID protocol thing that they've since done away with. But she made it very clear and was very open about the fact that she had her own lactation person and that she wanted to use it. She was like, basically, all y'all can do is hand me my pump. I need to start pumping. And you think about C-section and recovery. She had a massive recovery ahead of her. And the first thing she wanted to do, the only thing she wanted to do was get her pump and get going. So that kind of positive belief in herself, I think, got her very far, and all the way through a secondary illness. And she really is a big advocate for anybody that wants to breastfeed, whether they're pumping and pumping out their milk, or they are putting baby straight to breast and having any kinds of difficulties. She is one of the best peers that we could have on the team. We love her. And as she mentioned, she donates her mama milk. So that's always a plus. And Benji, if you guys get the chance to see him before this call is over, he is a chunk of tunk. he ain't missing a meal, no missing milk for him, right? So we want to celebrate you, Denise, and thank you so very much for telling us your story.
You're welcome.
Do we have someone that wants to go next?
I'll go. So we started with the breastfeeding portion or the pregnancy portion? Because one is more recent to me. So
You can do some variation of both if you choose to.
okay. So I have a 9-year-old daughter. She'll be 9 tomorrow. And I breastfed her for I think it was about 9 months or so, give or take. We had some struggles. I went back to work way too early. But it is what it is. Going back to work early really hindered me being able to breastfeed because we didn't have a good routine. And that is so super important when you're learning and baby's learning. And then I have a 7-year-old, he'll be 7 soon, a 7-year-old son, and I breastfed him until he was 3-ish. And I did not go back to work as soon with him. So we were able to establish a really great routine. We struggled a bit with weaning because he was like not going for it. He didn't understand why. And he just thought I was mean for trying to wean him. But overall we had a really, really, really good experience. I did have some issues with advocating for myself in the workforce with my son. When I did decide to go back, it was definitely a struggle because most places don't want to give you adequate pumping space. You realize that a lot of people see breastfeeding and pumping as unnecessary and as nasty per se. Like, oh, you can just feed your baby formula. Like you're making it hard on yourself, as if you're making the wrong choice for you and your baby. So we dealt with a lot of that, and Keisha helped me navigate calling Laura on a couple people because they, again, didn't want to give me adequate pumping space, wanted me to pump in the closet or in the bathroom or not at all. So I dealt with a lot, and a lot of this stuff was from nurses, believe it or not. At the time, I was not a nurse. I was an aide, so I dealt with a lot of the hierarchy of that, being a pumping Black mom that was taken away from their day. Hopefully this time, because I am pregnant with our third due here, hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. I work by myself, so I don't have that worry of, somebody gonna say I'm taking too long or this or that. So hopefully this time will be a really good experience.
Jazz, you talked about weaning and how that was not in your son's plan. How'd that make you feel? What was the feedback from those around you as you breastfed him into his toddler years?
Oh, well, it was interesting. I dealt with a lot of, like, I wouldn't say like name calling, but like passive name calling, like, oh, he's gonna be weird, or uh-oh.
One moment.
Sorry, I forgot to mute my computer and it was loud. But that he was gonna be weird, and that, oh, I was just doing breastfeeding him into his toddler years because I had nothing better to do. Somebody called me a cow once. We won't name that person because she's 90, so we'll leave her alone. Um, pumping also was an issue because I guess people seemed like it was like not appropriate because he was 3 or so. I felt like we were just fine. But that was just our thing. That was his bond. That, I mean, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary for me to really listen to a lot of the stuff people were saying, but it did bother me over time. And it did a number like on my self-esteem. Like I felt like I was doing something wrong. Because I have a Black son that people were deeming like I was making him weird by nursing him into his toddler years. And as a first-time boy mom, I'm like, I don't know. Like, is there a difference? I have no clue. So we dealt with that. CJ was like, what's wrong with you? Why are we stopping this? This is not the plan. I want my milk. He would throw tantrums, and we went through a pretty lengthy weaning phase. And then when he finally did stop, I was sad. Like I bawled my eyes out for a while, because I thought I was ready. And then when he just I didn't feel like he needed me anymore. That was a gut punch.
And we did a spilled milk on the 6th trimester, and we talked about things like weaning when we wasn't ready. Like, okay, I thought I was ready, and but now that you actually ready, baby, I don't want you to be ready. Like, come back to me. This is like, it almost feels like postpartum depression all over again, where you sit there and you're mourning that new stage, right?
So I did go through a second wave of postpartum because of that. It was scary because I thought that I was like truly in the clear of, that postpartum phase. And now it's more like, I don't know, it was like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. Am I doing something wrong? Hold on, I gotta mute myself. My mom's here, and I didn't know she was here.
So she talks about going through a second wave of postpartum depression. And we don't always think of postpartum depression well after baby's born, well after baby has come out and we've done all the things, and especially not after that first year. But there is a complexity of emotions that come along with a change in hormones, right? So during breastfeeding, we are using a lot of oxytocin, and prolactin is what helps us make milk. Oxytocin is what helps let it down. It's called the love hormone. But when we are done or forced to stop because baby has weaned, all of those hormones kind of go crazy a little bit again. And so it can cause feelings of down, sad, weepy kind of a feeling. And it's hard to navigate through that. But all of these mamas have done well with their weaning process. Who's ready to go next between Candace or Sierra?
I'll be honest, I haven't been listening. I've been doing stuff in this house.
I see.
What are we sharing again about?
So you are sharing about your pregnancy, if you choose, but your breastfeeding journey or journeys that you've had.
Oh, okay. So this is my second journey around. Hey, I did my first daughter Yvonne for a year. And I would say I didn't have too many hiccups with that. We did a breastfeeding class through WIC, me and Dad, and we got a lot of information about it. I'm not sure who actually originally opened me up to breastfeeding, because I've never seen anybody breastfeed before I breastfed. Like I've seen it maybe like on shows, but nobody of my color like breastfeeding. And I always heard like bad things about it, like, oh, it hurts, like, oh, it's, you get a clingy baby or a spoiled baby, and it's hard to get them off, like things like that. So I've never, like I said, seen somebody do it besides me, but I remember having a conversation. I think it was at my first doctor's appointment that somebody asked me, like, are you gonna breastfeed? And I was like, I didn't think about it yet. And she's like, oh, you should really look into it. I know WIC offers like classes and things like that. And then I came home and talked to dad about it. And he actually was like, oh, I think that's a great thing. Like, we should look more into it. We, like I said, looked into it and, you know, the things that you get from it. And then we went to the class. And once I had the class with Ashley, I was sold on it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to breastfeed. Like, no problem. And at first, when I first had Yvonne, she wouldn't latch. So we were having that problem. That's the first problem I had with her. She wouldn't latch. We had a lactation lady come from the hospital, and she was trying to help us latch, but it just wasn't like clicking until we got home. And then once we got home, it just was like she actually, you know, just latched on with no problem. I think my supply started dropping around 6 months, and that kind of made me depressed. It kind of made me feel like, what was I doing wrong, or like what was going on, and why I had to supplement for a while. And at first I was going to cut it off at 6 months, but something just told me to keep pushing. So I ended up changing my diet and actually started working out at that point. And I noticed I started seeing like my supply go up at that point. And then we ended up staying on until a year. And then Vaughn self-weaned. She just one day didn't want to get back on, and I kind of took it like, okay, like, she was 1, and it was like, oh, okay, cool, no problem. And I thought it was going to be a big thing, because I remember like having conversations with Jason for like months ahead, like, oh my God, like looking up stuff and like, what can I put on? Like, I even seen like this like nipple balm you can put on, like to do all that, like to try to like, get her off. But she didn't need any of it. She like just got off and never actually looked on again. Like, so she was pretty easy. I would say this breastfeeding journey, I thought would be a little bit easier since I like already did it once. But this one I can say it's a little bit more difficult, just because I feel like I'm not able to pump. Like, I'm still not able to pump. I still not getting anything, which is kind of like, I guess, a disappointment, just because like I kind of want to transition her to like getting on a bottle and like that type, but it just, not given to me just yet. But I will say she's a pretty easy. I've heard bad things about it, like especially like, because I don't care where I'm at, I'm gonna breastfeed. Like, I'm not I don't hide anymore. I don't put anything to cover. I'm just gonna breastfeed my babies wherever. So I've seen like people side-eye me and like look like, oh, she's really about to just feed her baby right here. Like, and then I get a lot of encouragement too. Like, I was at the park yesterday with my friend and we were walking and I was feeding her, and a lady was like, you go, girl. She's like, that's your right. She's like, don't let anybody tell you that it's not. And I really like kind of like made me happy, like, oh, okay, dang, like, that was cool. Like, I haven't heard that in a while. And just like hearing people, like, I'm always encouraging that, like it's okay. Like, my friend just had a baby and I encouraged her to breastfeed, and now she's in 2 months into breastfeeding, and it feels good to have somebody like contact you for advice about breastfeeding, like, being that person for somebody, because I didn't have nobody in the beginning with my first kid when I breastfed her. Now I have a little bit of support clearly with having you guys, but it's really, what's going on? It's okay. Do you want to see the phone? Do you want to turn around? It's okay. But say hi. Hey. Say hi. Say hi.
Hi, beautiful.
Vaughn, we're not talking to Nana. I'm on a Zoom real quick. Vaughn said, I say hi too. But I would say, like I said, this one was a little bit difficult, but we're getting pretty good. Now that she's like eating food and things like that, now it's a little bit easier. And like I said, I haven't had too many problems with somebody saying anything to me. If anything, I would say I had more like people like being out and like, oh, dang, you go, girl. Like, I don't say I would have support either. Like, I've never like had anybody like family wise reach out or like, things like that. But I've never had anybody like blatantly like tell me like, oh no, like, why are you breastfeeding? Like, but I remember when I was close to Vaughn turning 1, somebody was like, you're still breastfeeding her? And I'm like, she's only 1. Like, she's only about to be 1. Like, people breastfeed to like 2. And they're like, oh my God, that's a big old toddler on you. And I'm like, it's not that crazy. So I would say my breastfeeding journey so far has been pretty decent with both of these little nuggets.
So I heard you say something that stood out to me, and you said you wanted to go home and talk to Jason about it. How did it feel
Mhm.
to have him 100% support your decision to breastfeed both?
That was a great feeling. That was really a really good feeling because I was kind of, I have like, I'm in like mom groups, you know, you're on Facebook, getting in the mom group. And I've seen like moms saying like their husbands don't support them, like when it comes to like breastfeeding and like literally telling them like, no, I don't want you to breastfeed or like, you know. So to me, that was a big thing. Like, and I knew I wasn't going to be getting too much help with feedings because I was going to be breastfeeding in the beginning, you know, not bottle straight. So that was definitely a lot, but it felt good to like have that support. And then, like I said, having him go to the classes with me, and actually bringing information to me that I wasn't even aware about. That was a really good thing.
Good. So, Miss Sierra, if you are ready to share, or I can give you a little bit more time if you need to.
What we talking about?
We are sharing your breastfeeding story.
Breastfeeding story. So I breastfed my son for about a year and a half, about a year and 3 months, 4 months. And sorry, I'm out here trying to get my y'all together. I would say, I don't know. I kind of always wanted to do it. I really didn't know much about it or know a lot of people that did it. But I always like said if I ever have kids, that was my goal, was to do that. In the beginning, it was challenging because he didn't really latch on all the way. Like it just took him a minute, and I feel like the lactations at the hospital, they weren't really letting myself get comfortable. Like they had just like forced him onto me rather than him just finding which one he wanted, which movie he wanted to go to. So I feel like I was getting frustrated. He was getting frustrated because he was hungry, and it was just, I don't know. So then I had got a nipple shield, and I was doing nipple shield for a minute, and then like I was like, okay, one day I'm gonna just do without it and see how he does. So then I'll alternate each feeding. Like I do it with the nipple shield, and I'll try it, and if it just doesn't work, then I'll give him the nipple shield. And then one day I had texted Alicia like, oh my god, you did it without the nipple shield, and I was just so excited. I mean, I say breastfeeding, it's challenging. It has its ups and downs, but I mean, just from the outcomes, the bond that you get, the love, and just, I don't know, just everything that you get from it. I mean, it makes you just want to keep going and keep trying. And it's given me more passion about it. I mean, it has its challenging, but I don't know. I mean, I guess my breastfeeding experience, I loved it. I mean, I thought my supply was low, and try to do things to try to keep my milk supply going up and increasing. But I think it was just because of him. My body was just telling me, okay, he's not eating so much, so it was changing to what he was feeding. But I mean, if I ever have kids again, I'm not saying that I am, but I would definitely do it again. And I definitely would, if my body can make it to a year like I did with my son, then that's what I'm gonna do.
Sierra, was there anything that stood out to you support-wise that made a difference in your breastfeeding journey?
You.
Well, thank you, babe.
You helped me a lot from how to get him latched on, from like the different cries, knowing what different cries mean. Okay, that high-pitched cry means he's in pain, or this cry means, okay, he's ready to eat. Showing different signs, showing how his mouth needs to be. His mouth needs to be like an adult lip, and not his lips can't be in it. So I mean, you really just taught me so much that I used when I was a breastfeeding peer counselor. I used what you taught me in my job. So really, it was really you.
I appreciate that. I mean, there's a huge difference in when you have support and you have somebody that can be right there with you while you're going through it. then okay, I read this in a book. YouTube's great, TikTok's great, but TikTok and YouTube can't come sit with you and be like, oh, because of how the baby sounds, I think maybe we should try this. Or, hey, that one position that worked perfect for a couple of weeks is no longer working for baby. Let's try this position. But really, beyond even sitting with any client that I'm with, and I've had some sort of breastfeeding relationship with everybody on the call today, encouraging them, letting them know that I believe that they can do it, played a huge part in them even being willing to try. And trying may sound like I'm trying, oh, look, we fixed it. Yay, we're going. Or I'm going to try until this week. I'm giving it one more week. I'm giving it one more week until you actually reach your goal. It's not always sunshine, roses, and rainbows, but the benefits that you get from it, if you're able to overcome, are large. Like Sierra mentioned the bond. Denise mentioned tandem nursing. Candace mentioned the challenges that she has with not being able to pump currently, but she knows that her baby is still getting enough. Jasmine said she's on her third baby. Breastfeeding is the plan. It's not necessarily that what we want to happen is going to happen. We show resilience because we believe in ourselves and because we believe in one another. Milk Like Mine is constantly creating new spaces for mothers and now fathers as well, so that we can pour into each other and be a support to one another. I myself had a very easy breastfeeding journey, even though the birth was really hard. My very first child, I had a C-section, and he went straight to NICU, even though he was 40 weeks old. It was very challenging for me to wrap my head around breastfeeding him because I wanted to exclusively pump. I had a nurse sit down with me and say, I think that he's missing being close to you. Would you like to try breastfeeding? And I breastfed him simply because she sat down with me and held me accountable and encouraged me to do so. With my daughter, I had a very easy C-section. It was planned. And she was able to do skin to skin sooner than he was. And I was like, oh, I got this in the bag. She was chomper. When I tell you all she did was chew, like I should have gave her some gum because all she ever wanted to do was chew. And it was something that it was a habit that I don't know that I necessarily broke early enough for her to stop doing it, because she thought it was funny to sit up there and chew. But when she wanted to effectively breastfeed, she did so. She's very much her own child like that. But I had the WIC office and maternal infant health, they all came in and having those home visits. And then I was encouraged to, because I was a breastfeeding mother, become a breastfeeding peer counselor. And essentially I tell my kids all the time, you gave me my career, because if I hadn't been breastfeeding them, then the person that visited me in my home visit wouldn't have said, hey, I think you should apply for that. Go down there today. She was very much on me. Shout out to Vivian McCurdy. Hey, ma'am. Look at me now. No, I'm just kidding. But I really want to thank everybody that came in and gave their experience today. I say, if you see a breastfeeding mom, do exactly what Candace said happened. Say, you go, girl. Keep on. But if you have breastfeeding moms that are having challenges, refer them to the people that are going to come to them. I'm not saying don't go to the hospital, because that is definitely an asset. I am saying, however, if they don't, moms have a lot of appointments when babies are first born. They don't be wanting to cart baby everywhere, back and forth. And we are still very much in a pandemic. So referring them to somebody that will come straight to them is an asset. It's an added bonus. Milk Like Mine, we do home visits. You can visit us here in office. We will visit you wherever you are, even if you are not home. We can do virtual visits and the like. But the most important thing here is believing in ourselves and believing enough in one another to encourage each other to continue. Happy Black Breastfeeding Week, ladies. Thank you all for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Hey Keisha, when you log off of Facebook, just stay on here. I gotta tell you
Okay.
what happened.
Okay.